Okay, thanks for giving me information. So let's get to work here. Let's talk about the $60,000 federal tax credit, which basically is through the state of Texas. Very few lenders have it. Very few loan officers know about it. And if they do know about it, they don't want to tell you about it because it's a lot more paperwork for them. We don't care about that. We're all about the borrower, and this is something that you need to know about. You get $2,000 a year. It's a special program. As long as you have not owned a home in the last 36 months, you're considered a first-time home buyer, okay? You have to provide 3 years worth of tax returns to make sure that you haven't deducted any home interest to prove that you would qualify for this tax credit, okay? That has to go to the state. We have to do the paperwork on it, and it takes 20 days to get a response from the state as to whether you're qualified or not. And we'll know up front because we'll go through the paperwork. So that's fairly simple, okay? Now usually it takes about 45 days from start to finish to get a loan taken care of. So kind of give you an idea, we're always realistic about time frames. So when you're buying a house, you contract on it, you figure you're going to do a 45-day closing instead of a 30-day closing. Okay, so that's the 60,000. You can't, if you're either a couple, so a single individual or a couple, cannot make more than a combined income of a little over $67,000 a year for that tax credit, okay? For the extra $2,000 tax credit per year. If you have 3 or more people in the household, you can go almost to $78,000, so it's $77,740, okay? So very high incomes when you look at it, but if you have a couple, a lot of our first-time homebuyer clients make in the area maybe $50,000, $60,000 a year, so that's going to fit into that criteria. It's not going to get rid of and cut out a lot of people. So you need to get with a lender that actually knows the program. This is a fairly new program. It hasn't been out more than a few weeks, and you need to get in tune with what's going on because you're not going to leave that kind of money sitting on the table. That's the $60,000 tax credit, which is paid over 30 years. Every year on your tax return, you can deduct $2,000 off your taxes. Voila, as long as you stay in the house. Pretty simple stuff. But you need to have somebody that can go through the paperwork up front to make sure that's secured for you. The $8,000 tax credit that you've heard about in the newspapers and all over the news wires is fairly simple. Again, you cannot have owned a home in the past 36 months. You can't make more than $150,000 a year if you're married filing jointly, and $75,000 a year if you're single. So there are high income limits on those as well. We also have a program that will allow for you to get an advance loan on the tax credit, the $8,000 tax credit, from a state agency, which allows you to not have to come up with a down payment for your loan. Pretty substantial because, I mean, that's what the key is right now with FHA, is you have to come up with 3.5% down of your own funds. Well, we have the ability to get you a loan through a state agency to provide up to $7,000 of the $8,000 for your down payment. So if you're buying a $150,000 house, you're only going to put down a little, maybe $5,800, so that fits within that $7,000 parameter. Fantastic program. So we're talking about providing money for a down payment, so you don't have to come up with that money, and then getting you the $60,000 tax credit and an additional $8,000 tax credit, and we'll actually help you fill in the tax forms that you need to file after you close. We'll do everything for you and walk you through it. Simple stuff. So if you're interested for yourself, or if you know somebody that would benefit from this program, it's only for about another 4 months through the end of November. It's going to come up very quickly. Even if you have a lease you need to get rid of, if you have $68,000 that the federal government's going to give to you, it's worth getting out of a lease and figuring out what you need to do to get out of that lease and buy your first home. The cornerstone of your financial future is going to be being home ownership. And I always tell people there are 3 things you never want to rent. You never want to rent your food. I didn't even know you could rent food. You do not want to rent your clothes, and you don't want to rent your shelter. Those are the 3 things you need to survive for the rest of your life. And there's no reason that you need to be renting those items. So you need to make sure that you give us a call, let us walk you through it. We'll forward you to a realtor that can help you find a property if you don't have one already. If you already have one, great, we'll work with them. But get it started now. I'm just telling you, this is your call to action to move forward. This is probably in our lifetime, we're not going to see tax credits that are this substantial. Our number is 972-248-1390, 972-248-1390, and I wish you well, and I hope you take advantage of it. If you already own a home, you need to tell your neighbor or anybody in your family that doesn't own a home. It's your obligation. We'll see you soon.